Are you ready for another meditation challenge?
Hello, hello, hello. We are back for day 25 here of the 30 Days of Love. Apologize for the little delay getting started today, but I've got another good bit of information for you guys today. Yesterday, we went over what are called the 8 limbs of yoga. These are stages that prepare us for the meditation state, this meditative state. And today we'll be meditating for 30 minutes on the Heart Chakra. So if you're new, welcome. We've been meditating on opening the Heart Chakra. Chakras are energy centers in your energy body. Heart Chakra is a chakra of love, bliss, joy, happiness, and balance. Different chakras relate to different emotions. Different emotions relate to different frequencies. And different frequencies relate to different dimensions. It's all quite mystical, really. But the different dimensions are right here, right now. It's just that we are accustomed, conditioned, programmed, if you will, to focus on the third dimension. The third dimension is the dimension of the body, of the material world, of the 3 states of matter. And so it's really just the fact that our attention, which is really a part of our deeper awareness, our attention is just trapped up in these senses, these gosh darn senses. All right, so let's get started, my friends. Today, what we're going to do here is we're going to review the 8 limbs of yoga. Yesterday, my translation was subpar that I found. I found a much better one that I like a lot better. And yeah, so let's get right into it. Again, the 8 limbs of yoga, nothing to do with what we consider modern yoga, going to yoga class or whatever. Of course, the postures typically known as yoga are included within the 8 limbs of yoga. So the 8 limbs are basically 8 stages. These are found within what is a classic text known as the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. Patanjali was a yogi, a sage, a mystic, not much known about him. Thousands of years ago, he wrote this Yoga Sutras. And this has been the classic text that has been the manual, if you will, for meditation practice for millennia. So let's get right into it. I believe that these are important to understand so you get a better picture of what we're really trying to do here and how to go about your meditation journey. And if you know me, I'm all about results. As a meditation teacher, as a meditation coach, this is all I really want for any of my followers, students, any of you who are listening today, who are just logging in and checking it out. What we're really after here is results from our meditation. What are results? Well, results are you transform, you change, you become happier, more free, more focused. Perhaps you initially heal some of the traumas, some of the energetic problems that you might be carrying. And over time, we progress. So meditation is about progression. It's about transformation and change, ultimately. But in order to do that, we need to put in a little groundwork. We need to put in a little bit of preparation to get to that stage where meditation unfolds. The state of meditation, the meditative state unfolds spontaneously and naturally. So here are the steps of preparation. I'm going to go down the list here. So what we're talking about are the 8 stages of meditation practice. A lot of people think meditation practice is just sitting, focusing on the breath. Well, it's much more than that. So let's start with the 8 limbs of yoga. Welcome, welcome. Here we go. Number 1, yama. Yama is the restraints, the moral disciplines, and moral vows. So in this first limb, yama refers to vows, disciplines, or practices that are primarily concerned with the world around us and our interaction with it. While the practice of yoga, meditation, can indeed increase physical strength and flexibility and aid in calming the mind, what's the point if we're still rigid, weak, stressed out in day-to-day life? So these disciplines or yamas are non-violence, truthfulness, not stealing, the right use of energy, and non-greed. So these are basic morals, guidelines to follow. And why are these important? Because our mind will be one of the biggest obstacles towards getting into the meditative state. And if we're out and about in the world, going about our lives in an inappropriate way, going about our lives in an immoral way, chances are you won't get too far in meditation. Now, this has nothing to do with laying a trip on people, with saying that you're going to go to hell if you do this or anything like that. This is science. This is the understanding of life that if you are nonviolent, then you should have a peaceful mind. Or if you are violent, you're going to have a violent mind. If you tell lies, you're going to live in a web of illusions. So these are just guidelines for the mind, for going about life. And in essence, it's part of the stage of purification for preparation for meditation. Next up, we have the niyamas, positive duties or observances. In the second limb, niyama refers to the duties directed towards ourselves, but can also be considered with our actions towards the outside world. So these are cleanliness, contentment, discipline or burning desire, self-study or self-reflection and the study of spiritual texts, surrender to a higher power. So cleanliness, well, that just makes sense. Keeping your body clean, keeping your room clean. These are all just parts of the purification. Contentment, being content and not being desirous within life. Tapas, the disciplines. Meditation is a discipline, and through practice of discipline, we will gain the mental control over the attached and scattered mind that normally is accustomed to most people. Moving on, and perhaps more importantly, so those first two, yama and niyama, are really like the moral disciplines, ways of being. You know, it's almost as if it falls into the category in Buddhism of the right living. We all know from our own point of view when we're doing something that is in alignment with something that's good. We all know when we're doing something that's in alignment with something that isn't good. And so we have to trust ourselves and be honest with ourselves. Self-honesty is really the barometer that we use to determine whether or not we're living according with these principles. And again, it's not a matter of going and being a do-gooder or just being good because you're afraid of putting some religious fear trip on you that you're going to go to hell if you do bad or something crazy like that. No, that's religion. This is a science of how the mind works. And these are proven ways to improve your mind, your life. So these are the moral disciplines. Next, we move into the more technical stuff. Now, this is really where it begins for me in my meditation teaching. First off, number 3 of the 8 yogic limbs is the asanas, posture. Now, normally this can refer to the various branches of physical yoga that we are all familiar with, the various postures, downward dog, all the different, sun salutations and the different yogic systems and the yogic routines that we see in a physical posture. But for meditation, how it applies is our posture. And what it really refers to is when we sit. When we sit to meditate, our posture is very important. This is why I'm a big advocate of sitting up and not laying down. When we sit up straight, we're cultivating the proper frequency via our proper posture. If we have a good posture, we automatically are in a state of readiness to be alert. If we have a slouch posture, or we just let ourselves kind of chill out and hang out, well, that frequency will be what is affecting our energy. So the posture and the geometry of our body, how good our posture is a very important part of preparation for proper meditation and getting the results. So what it says about posture is that the idea is to be able to sit in comfort. So a comfortable and motionless posture is really what this refers to. So, there are various traditional postures in meditation, such as the lotus, half lotus, and full lotus, which is very difficult to hold for long periods of time if you're not very flexible. So, you can sit on the ground, cross-legged position, whether you like to sit on a cushion to kind of elevate the body a little bit. It's much more comfortable. Or I like to sit in a chair because my knees and hips tend to get very inflexible over time. And so for me, my most comfortable and alert posture is just sitting on the edge of a chair. Good posture, just like that. Okay, so next up on the fourth limb of yoga, it's the pranayama. Pranayama is the breathing techniques. So oftentimes, most people are just unaware of how to breathe. So it's important to learn first how to breathe in a meditative way, and perhaps know a few other breathing techniques. So I like to incorporate two main breathing techniques for meditation. And the first one is just a energizing breath that I call the wave breath that we've gone over before. It's inhalation in the nose, exhalation out the mouth, breathing into the belly, chest, and then head in one fell swoop, then exhaling in a surrender and letting go. So it looks something like, this is a way to stretch our lung capacity and bring in more energy. And then you have your meditative breath, which is simply breathing in and out of the nose, diaphragmatic breathing just in the belly, not allowing the chest to rise and fall too much. Making it more and more subtle. So we begin with our posture, and then we focus on our breath. Now, focusing on the breath is the first step towards the next step in the 8 limbs of yoga. Step 5, pratyahara. Pratyahara is sense withdrawal. So it refers to our senses. Normally, we are using our senses as a way to interface with the external world. We're seeing, listening, tasting, smelling, touching as a way to navigate within this material world, within the 3D world via our bodies. But in order to meditate, we need to be able to withdraw our attention from our senses inward. And the first step to do this is to focus on your breathing. So when we're focusing on our breath in step 1, instead of our attention being drawn to our eyes or ears or being distracted by something external, we bring our attention to our breath, to our breathing. And this is the first step to withdraw or bring our attention into a more internal process, to begin the process of going inward. And this all is like a step-by-step building block understanding of how this all works. And so once we've withdrawn our senses, our attention from our senses, and we're focusing on our breathing, and we're feeling that process, we're focusing on that process, we're just observing that process, our attention, we're being attentive to the breathing process, to the continuous stream of breath. The next part is concentration, or what is called dharana. Dharana means concentration, focused concentration, holding or maintaining. Closely linked to the previous 2 limbs, dharana and pratyahara are essential parts of the same aspect. In order to focus on something, the senses must withdraw so that all of our attention is put on that point of concentration. So in this case, we're focused on the heart chakra, and we begin to concentrate on it, meaning concentration is just a sustained attention on one thing. And we all know when we concentrate on something, on one thing, due to the habits and tendencies, our attention will wander back to its normal pathways of thought, of being attached to the senses. But again, every time we bring our attention back to that point, we're exercising our concentration muscle. But more importantly, it's the prevention of letting the attention wander that's the practice. It's not the bringing back. We should begin with it here. And then the game or the practice is to not let it leave that spot. So a lot of people focus on just returning the mind. Yes, that's part of it. But the real part is to not let it leave. And so that's where the willpower will be very important. To develop the ability to concentrate is really the ability to focus on one spot and not let your attention wander. Okay? And next up, all of these steps have been the preparation for meditation or dhyana. So meditative state, the meditative state, what is it? Everything up to this point, up to the concentration step, has been something that we can do, has been something that we can practice. It's something that we can actually do, for lack of a better word, meaning we have the control over doing it. But at a certain point, what happens is once our concentration is able to be stabilized on that single point and our attention settles down, if we've done a good job and if we've prepared all the previous steps, we are in a prepared state to allow for the meditative state to unfold. The meditative state is not something in which we are doing anything. What normally occurs is a transition to a realization that awareness is already happening. Awareness is spontaneous, and this awareness is effortless. So instead of having to hold our concentration, hold our attention, concentrating on a single point, we just simply are aware of that feeling spontaneously and effortlessly. This is the key. It's effortless awareness. It's only through the effortless awareness that we're entering into the meditative state. It's a non-doing. A lot of people say, well, how do you meditate? Well, just sit and don't do anything. Well, good luck with that. This is why I'm going over this, because it's very important to go through these steps and stages of preparation. To me, the most important preparation is the concentration step. Because if you're not concentrating first, you're just going to be distracted by all the thoughts and habitual tendencies. So we move from the meditative state into samadhi, the last limb, the eighth limb of yoga, or absorption. You see, when we enter into the state of meditation, there's this feeling of non-doing, there's this feeling of being, not doing anything, and just being awareness. But there is still a sense of being awareness. There's still a sense of I am awareness. Even though you're not doing anything, even though you don't have to try to concentrate or anything, there's just a sense of resting as awareness, but there's a sense that you are awareness, which is really just a separation. In samadhi, in absorption, the sense of I am and the sense of awareness have become one. You become awareness. But at that point, there's no self-reference. So there's really no knowledge. You can't really know that you're in samadhi. The only way you know is that when you return your consciousness, when your awareness returns back to the senses, you know that you've been beyond. You know that you've been radically changed, because it's not just like there's a transition process that takes place. It's a very fine gradient of awareness that takes place. When you enter into samadhi, it's really, you enter into the timeless. You become completely absorbed. There's no more duality. There's only the unity consciousness. And just like there are stages and steps in meditation, and how deep you go and how long you go, and how absorbed you become, there are various stages of samadhi. Salvakalpal samadhi, nirvikalpal samadhi, and Sahaja Samadhi. Sahaja Samadhi is the highest samadhi. Now, samadhi is not something we really even can describe. It's beyond words, it's beyond comprehension. So it's not really something that, as beginner or intermediate meditators, we don't really need to even be concerned with. It'll happen when it's time. It'll happen when the crown chakra opens up. So in Salvakalpa Samadhi, there's just the experience of absorption, and then you return. And then there's there's sort of like a renewed, born again feeling that you've become. Your karmas have liquefied, your samskaras have been washed away. So some of these tendencies that we have, even past life tendencies, can be cleansed, purified, washed away. But then we return, and it's like, okay, I had an experience that I kind of remember. It's very vague, and it might change you for a while, but it kind of fades. Nirvikalpa Samadhi is the experience of nirvana. It goes beyond what we can even imagine. And then Sahaja Samadhi is when you've gone to Nirvikalpa Samadhi so many times, back and forth, that there is no more back and forth for you. You're constantly in samadhi. And this would be what is referred to as a fully enlightened being, a Buddha, someone who is constantly fully awake, crown chakra fully open, always in samadhi, enlightenment, full enlightenment. They can have an enlightenment experience, which is samadhi, but to be a fully enlightened being is someone who's in samadhi constantly, full union. There's no separation. You've overcome the cycle of birth and death, liberation. All right, my friends, so there's the review. And so take into account what we're doing here is we're kind of doing a modified form of these 8 limbs of yoga. Of course, starting with the posture, breathing, concentration, and then hopefully entering into the meditative state by the end. Okay, so there you go. Let's get to the meditation. We're doing 30 minutes. The first 5 minutes, we're going to focus on the breathing. This is when you should practice your sense withdrawal. Okay, of course, we're starting out with the posture. Maintain a good posture. And don't be afraid to adjust your posture throughout. At a certain point, you'll become less aware of the body and it won't matter much. But in the beginning, in the first 5 minutes or so, it's okay to kind of adjust, settle in. And that's what the first 5-minute period of meditation is designed to do, is to just settle down. By focusing on our breath, what we're doing is we're training our attention and we're withdrawing. We're doing the sense withdrawal, focusing on the internal process of breathing, the flow, the steady state. And after the 5 minutes, we will move into a 15-minute concentrative portion where we'll do the single pointed mind concentration on the heart chakra. What we're doing at this point is we're feeling the energy at this point. And once you feel that little tingle, my advice would be to lock onto it. Take the hand away at this point. You don't need it there. Okay? For the first couple seconds, use the hand. But what I really want you to get good at is to feel the chakras without needing the physical touch. That's the next level. You're ready. Okay. Now, you might take the hand away and it's like, okay, now I can't feel anything. Well, just hold the position. Concentrating on one point is literally like holding a posture with your mind. The posture is still. It's just like you're holding a physical posture, but you're holding it with your mind. You're holding it here. You're feeling the energy. And when you feel a little bit, lock on. Concentrate. Now, as your concentration improves and as you begin to settle down and stabilize, You won't need to lock on so intensely. It'll just be more of a graceful, subtle feeling, but you remain connected to that spot. In other words, what we're doing is we're starting out kind of locking on, but then gracefully pulling back into a more relaxed focus, but it stays centered on the heart chakra. So it's a slow progression into the next step, which would be at the last 10 minutes, we're going to just simply let go of all focus. This is an important step because what we want to do is we move from form to the formless. In order to do this, in order to grow, in order to really see what's going on, we need to stop doing. And so at that last 10 minutes, what we're doing is we're letting go of all doing and we're just being. Now, this may be a challenging moment in the session because you'll notice that you'll want to do something because you're so used to doing. The only thing we can, quote unquote, do during this phase is let go of that desire to do. You might think, well, isn't letting go a doing? Well, kind of, but it's the least amount of doing we can do, if you will. You're surrendering. The surrendering process is really just a process of letting go of control. We constantly want to control our experience. We constantly want to hold our attention in our eyes in order to control it. Because we feel like if we completely let it go, it's just going to fly away. And where will I be then? Well, trust me, you'll always be where you always were. You can't go anywhere. You can't lose yourself. The only part of yourself that you're actually losing is the part of yourself that was never there to really begin with. This illusory part of ourself that's just a conglomerate of thoughts, memories, desires, and thoughts about ourselves, judgments, experiences. All of these things will go in the end. Meditation is a death process. It's preparing you for death. It's kind of important. Nothing prepares you for death in this life, but meditation really, because in death, we will lose the body, we'll lose the identity, we'll lose the history, and we'll just move on to the next life. And so to be prepared for that moment at any time will make you happy, because we're not basing our happiness in what happens to us in the physical realm. Because we know within the physical realm, within the realm of the senses, everything changes. We could die tomorrow, unfortunately, but it's a fact. We could get into a car accident and be gone. Or we could live 100 years. We don't know. We really don't. But what we do know is what we know now. We know the moment. The moment is all we have. And to make best use of the moment is to live in the moment. Because the moment is an eternal unfolding, ever present. So let's begin with a few wave breaths. Take a big deep breath. Let go of all tension. Get comfortable in your posture. Begin the meditative breathing. Focus on your breath. As a continuous stream. letting go of the senses, and bringing our attention to the internal process of breathing, settling down. Allow your breath to slow down, become more subtle and calm. Now bring your attention to your heart chakra. Gently touch the center of your chest with your fingers. Bring your attention to that point. We begin the concentration phase. Bring your full attention to your heart chakra. Allow yourself to breathe naturally throughout the entire meditation. If you need to take a deeper breath at any time, feel free. Once you've established the connection by touching the center of the chest, and you feel the spot, go ahead and remove your hand. Relax. And continue feeling the heart chakra. Keep your attention nice and still, holding on that spot. Don't let it move.
Now release your concentration. No more doing, just being. Just be still and let go. Let go of all attachments. Rest. Okay, come on back to your senses. Take a big deep breath. Ah, that feels good. Get a little stretch on. Good job.
Good job. Thank you for being here. Thank you for hanging in there for a 30-minute meditation, which can sometimes feel long. Depends on the day, depends on the distractions, depends on your mind, depends on all kinds of factors. You know, but the important thing is that you showed up, you sat down, you did your best. No matter what the perceived outcome of your meditation was, whether we judge it as good or bad, it really doesn't matter, because we all know that the good and the bad, they all come and go. It's normal. The important thing is the exercise, the practice of this discipline. This is what will make you stronger, because whether you're having a great day and you just focus and be still and feel and expand, or whether you just feel like all these blocks are coming up or whatever, you know, the important thing is that each day we take the time to sit down and observe these things, because it's these things that we observe in our meditation practice that are the revealing mirror of who we are and the tendencies that we are up against. These tendencies of our old self, the old habits, the ways of thinking, the ways of holding our attention, and the ways of perceiving life. So thank you for joining me today, my friends. Day 25, check. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye-bye.